Restaurant workers of Reddit, what is the worst thing you have seen done to a customer's order? At my last restaurant job, my coworker would make very ugly sundaes for customers who were rude. For particularly nice customers, she would painstakingly recreate the sundaes and the menu pictures, and give them extra cream and sprinkles. Pretty much this. I'll make what you order, but will not put any love into it. If you're a decent human, I will try to make you the best version of what you order. I used to eat at my local diner a lot, and I always ordered a slice of cake for dessert. I tipped well, and got to know some of the staff. Over time my slices of cake got larger and larger, until one time, near closing, they just gave me the half cake they had left. Good times. Tampering with food is not that common. I've been in the business a long time and only worked with one girl who spat in someone's food. Another server saw her, and she got reported and fired immediately. The only other thing that sometimes happens is when people get cocky and ask for extremely spicy food, the kitchen staff turns into evil geniuses. A guy once asked me for wings so spicy that they would give a woman a miscarriage. I relayed those lovely instructions to the kitchen, and I don't know what they did, but the sauce was burning my nose and making my eyes water as I carried it out. He was not able to finish his wings. Worked at McDonald's for a long time. Never seen anyone intentionally spit in anyone's food or anything like that, but it's definitely safe to say we've eaten some burgers made without gloves, or with contaminated gloves. Put on gloves, go on phone, make sandwiches. Some Indian guys came in one time and asked for us to make their food as spicy as possible. I told them that's going to be extremely spicy and wanted to make sure they knew what they were asking for. They went on a long rant about how Indian restaurants are the only places that actually know what spicy is, and anything we bring out isn't going to be close to how spicy they like their food. So I had the owner come over to tell them that we'll try our best, but there won't be any refund on this food if it's too spicy. So we made them chicken fried rice with Trinidad scorpion peppers. After 2 bites and about 10 glasses of soy milk later, they ordered something else. I love how he came out assured that they will not be able to get a refund. Edit, I'm sorry I had to be that guy X. I had a buddy at McDonald's, a real chaotic type, who every once and a while would say, oh hey, guess what time it is? Pickle surprise, and put a whole handful of pickles on a random cheeseburger. I've had a terrible day, and this genuinely made me laugh. I hate pickles. I hate pickle surprise. But I love chaotic good. I think this is more chaotic neutral lol. Yeehaw, it could make someone's day or piss them off, and that dude was just rolling the dice. Pour the whole tray of drinks over a guest, twice. International trade fair with students as waiters. First time was an accident, second time she was so nervous she was practically shaking and spilled the drinks again on the same guy. I did this only once, but it was bad. Entire table of naval officers. They were very pleasant, but when we pushed the tables together it was a lot of people in a tight space. I came out with 8 to 10 large sodas on a tray. No problem, I've done this plenty of times before, and I tripped over a chair leg. The whole tray fell, mostly on myself, but one unfortunate fellow got soda all down his back. His whole uniform was soaked, cold, and sticky. I shriveled up and died inside. But he was so nice and understanding about it. Even left me a pretty good tip. Nearly cried when I picked up the check and saw that. Bonus story, that was at the beginning of my final shift there, not fired, it was just my last day. So I worked another 8 hours all wet and sticky, squishing around in my shoes, smelling terrible. Right in the middle of the dinner rush we got another huge table, a big family with kids this time. I got their drinks out, successfully, then took a quick bathroom break between orders. The door to the bathroom was heavy and swung inward. Unbeknownst to me, there was a kid standing right behind it, and she took a direct hit to the face. I heard the thump, then a shriek, then I shrieked, and the entire restaurant went completely silent. I'm still dead with shame from that shift, 10 years later. I'm so sorry Navy guy and small child. I worked at a popular fast food chain in my younger years. It was my first time with closing shift and we were all doing our part to clean and prep the store. I see this lady with a mop and bucket come out of the back, slop it onto the griddle, and start mopping it. I was appalled. I went and told the manager, and she tells me well that's the quickest way to clean it, then scolded me for worrying about things that didn't concern me. I quit that job next day and then called the district office and told them what happened. That location closed down not long after. But the franchise still exists. I mean, there is such a thing as a grill mop, but it's absolutely distinct from a floor mop. Kind of how a poop knife is different than a kitchen knife. I know a guy that pissed in a bucket of pickles. He would have never been caught if he didn't talk about it. Edit. There were other things going on at that McDonald's that helped ruin the reputation. It was also competing with another well-managed restaurant in a town that never really had room for both of them. The guy I'm talking about was just one of the most immature teenagers I've known. The funny thing is that he's married to my sister now and has a much better job than me. He slowly transformed into a responsible adult after having a child. I haven't worked in a restaurant in over 15 years. I never messed with anyone's food because that is assault. What I used to do to snotty Karen types is give them a senior discount and announce to the table when I dropped the check that I remembered to have a senior discount. That's funny because if they complain that's going to cost them money. Sadly, in my experience that's not really the case all the time. Complaining to the manager works in hospitality, and there are people who actively abuse the notion of the customer is always right, because hospitality kind of popularized the whole idea. I wouldn't be surprised to hear that someone complained it was rude to the manager and they ended up getting a bigger discount or having items taken off the check. It's still a brilliant way to say duck you with a smile though. Worked in a deli for a few years. I never tampered with anyone's food, but if you were a don I guaranteed your bread was over toasted, the lettuce on your sandwich was wilted, the tomato was there, but end with the hole from us removing the core, your onions were little pieces, the meat was the smallest of the portions, and on and on. I wouldn't tamper with someone's food, but I damn well wasn't making them a good sandwich. And all of that goes the exact opposite way with the customers I liked. Always gave them the best product to the point they would wait for me to help them. When I worked in a bakery I never deliberately tampered with anyone's order, but if you were nice to me, you might get an extra cookie in your 6-pack, or an extra profiterole in your 12-pack. Man, nothing better than opening your 4-pack of chicky nugs and finding 6. Worked in a fast food pizza joint. Nothing without consent of the customer happened, but customers ask some weird stuff. One time a customer asked for extra chili and emphasized a lot, so of course we put like a lot on it. Another person wanted chicken legs and wanted it extra crisp. He kept sending it back until it was pretty much burned, which is when he found it perfect. The worst one was a woman asked to put her pasta in a blender because she had just gotten prosthetics and couldn't properly eat. It looked disgusting. How do I turn off the notifications for this thread? He kept sending it back until it was pretty much burned, which is when he found it perfect. Used to work in a TGIF, had an old lady on one table keep sending her steak back because it wasn't well done. By the time she was happy with it, it was practically charcoal, and she drowned it in ketchup. Wanted extra mayo, so I maliciously complied by drenching it. Lady thought I would forget her fake $10 prayer tip the last time she was there. I worked at a McDonald's in high school and college, and this kind of malicious compliance was the worst we ever did. Worst was a guy wants extra pickles on his quarter pounder. We cover the burger in pickles. Comes back and says that's not extra. Okay. We slapped a big duck in handful of pickles on a new burger. Like, almost couldn't grab the thing. It was like 80% pickles. He started to get huffy, but the manager goes, well, we didn't want to shortchange you this time and we figured it was better to give too many and you could pick them off than too few. and then he stormed out. Edit. Apparently pickles are a very love them or hate them food, as a lot of the replies are along the lines of I want that. I worked in a very well-known fast food chain for a while. My favorite example of this actually involved nothing. The person who bought food had been rude to staff on multiple occasions. The person serving went to get their food, popped round the corner in a noticeable way, then returned having done nothing. He gave the food to him with a huge grin on his face and said enjoy. He then watched the person throw it in the bin when he went outside. My stepmom was super rude to a server, kept sending her chicken wings back and complaining. The last time the wings came out, the whole kitchen staff seemed to pile out and look at her. She refused to eat the wings and yelled at the serve more. It was so embarrassed. Worked in restaurants for over 10 years. It's pretty rare that you see people mess with some only food, but it does happen occasionally. The most memorable was once when a customer made a waitress cry complaining about their food and send it back. The chef farted on the remake. It got a lot of laughs. More common is, if a customer is an asshole, when they order dessert, you find the smallest slice of cheesecake you can. Wait, am I an asshole? I just thought cheesecake was really expensive. Ducking hell, your username is hilarious, you get the biggest slice from me. I gave them what they ordered. We were a pizza/Italian/bar restaurant. Our menu was ludicrously large and essentially anything that was on the menu that could go on a pizza was listed as a topping, probably 40 to 50 topping choices. I would get asked pretty often for a pizza with everything on it. I had a usual joke or two to find out what they really wanted. Typically a deluxe, but then they'd want no black olives or whatever. No big deal. Until the asshole came in that ordered everything and then proceeded to ask if I was red when I questioned him. My sister has disabilities, so I didn't appreciate his tact. Told my boss about it and he smiled and said get him a pizza with everything. Brought it out and gave it to him. He flipped out and demanded the manager of course. My manager had my back and gave the guy his bill, which at $2 a topping was well over a $100 pizza. Guy refused to pay, cops got called, yada yada yada. I hope he enjoyed his pizza with clams, pineapple, buffalo chicken, broccoli, anchovies, green olives, cream cheese, cauliflower, jalapenos, shrimp. The worst thing I ever did to a rude customer was give them exactly what they want. Oh, you were a huge B*TCH to my staff and ask for extra pickles. You get 25 pickles. I have cooked for 20 years and have never heard of or seen someone spit in food or do anything gross like that. That is simply not cool and not what we are about. Teenagers in fast food may be the exception to this rule, but I sure ducking hope not. Your response was my favorite. I get how rude customers can be, but some of these people are straight up nasty. I saw a waiter pour an orange juice, take a big swig with his lips on the rim, top it up then take it to the table. In college, I worked for a well-known pizza place. One of our waitstaff came to collect a pepperoni pizza and nabbed a piece of pepperoni off the top before taking it out. He gets to the table and everyone is staring at him in stunned silence. There's a very fine string of cheese going from the pizza to his mouth. That's like your cat has a feather in its mouth and you can't find your parrot. One time we had a woman call back because her rotisserie chicken was burnt. I explained it's just charred because of the way it's cooked. She wasn't having it, so we agreed to get her a new one. 10 minutes after her husband left she called back even more pissed saying this one was worse. We told her to send her husband back again for a new one. The manager and I went in back with gloves on and scraped off all the burnt parts. I shit you not, another 10 minutes after he leaves she calls again, but this time her rice didn't have any craisins on it. So once again I tell her to send him back. I dumped so many ducking craisins on that rice I think she got the point and we never heard from / saw them again. I know it's not super gross, but it's pretty rare to see someone maliciously duck with someone's food. I have seen cooks use the 5-second rule when dropping food or not washing hands, but that's about it in my 7 years in the industry. Worked at a 50s style diner. Was prepping the chicken breasts for our burgers and dropped a tray of 50 and they slid right under the grill. Easily the dirtiest place in the whole restaurant. My boss saw and had me pick them all up, rinse them with water and resins and stick them back in the fridge. Hey man, at least they got washed. Fail, yeah, I stopped eating there when I wasn't working after that day. This isn't really bad, but a lot of the times, when people send food back, and there's clearly nothing wrong with it, the chefs will just rearrange the food on the plate, wait a minute or two, and then send it out to the table. The funniest part is when the customer says that it's better. I had a shit manager tell me I had to mop the floor again, after I had just done it perfectly. So I just waited 10 minutes, and told him I did it. He comes out and says, "See, that wasn't so hard, was it?" It really wasn't, since I did jack shit. When I was a pizza delivery driver, when habitual non-tippers ordered, I wouldn't cut their pizza all the way through. I worked in a movie theater. We got people who complained all about how the concession lines were so long. Their movie is about to start, blah blah blah, all before they even placed their order, so now everyone else has to wait longer. I didn't butter the middle of their popcorn. Just the top. And I filled their soda cup all the way up with ice before putting the soda in. Keeping it speedy. Sometimes, when a customer asked for a redo for layered butter, I would hold that butter button in the middle layer until the bag was just starting to bleed through. Then I would top off as normal. I hope they like butter pants. Not a restaurant, but sometimes if a customer at my grocery store is being an asshole, I'll put their bananas or bread on the bottom of the cart, so they get squished. And I used to do this as well. A bit different, customers used to get mad if we didn't pack well. The dumbest customer got mad at me for putting bread on the bottom. Thing is, it was pita bread. Flat. But no, it's bread and bread must be at the top, and she had to shame me. I also got told off for putting things on eggs. Except it was a bag of salad. Tried to tell her the egg carton could hold a salad, but whatever. I always get people who will watch me like a hawk and tell me where to put each individual item. Like I don't do this 8 hours a day 5 days a week, lol. If you're picky about your groceries, fair enough, but at least bring your own bags and bag them yourself instead of slowing down my line nitpicking. I worked in restaurants for 10 plus years and never saw anybody intentionally ducking with a customer's food. Honestly, it's just not that common, in my experience. Same, been in the business my whole life. Saw something deliberate one time only. There are plenty of sanitary issues in almost every restaurant, some worse than others, but it's very rare for someone to deliberately mess with your food. Cross/physical contamination and temperature issues are much bigger issue. I worked at a pizza joint in high school. The owners of the pizza place also had a woodworking business on the side, and they always gave this one asshole, nasty, prick worker of them 75% of any time he came into the pizza store. That's fine. No problem. However, he'd always come in at like 9:55 PM when we closed at 10. Without fail, right when we got done cleaning everything. This would happen 2 to 3 times during the week. He knew exactly what he was doing, because he was just a massive prick like that. It was always a big order. Maybe a burger, some roasted chicken, and a pizza, so everything got dirty. To top it off, he'd sit there and eat the burger and some chicken, and take the pizza home. That means we had to wait for him to get done, and wait on him as we had a strict nobody closes alone policy. So 2 of the 3 would be stuck there. And we couldn't close early or lock the doors, because he saw the owners every day from 7 AM to 4 PM at the woodworking business, and he'd 100% rat us out. After a couple months of this, the store manager finally got sick of it, took the buns, put them down his crotch and let them sit there for a few minutes, until his burger was done. Worked at a movie theater for a while. Our pizzas came frozen in a large bag of many pizzas, so the contents sometimes got shifted around during shipping. One dude was acting like it was the end of the world because he got there late, hungry, and had to wait in line. He ordered a pepperoni pizza, so my coworker went to the freezer, pulled out a pizza with one slice of pepperoni on it, and tossed that sucker into the oven. The guy eventually got a refund, but that must have felt good to see the reaction from him. When I bartended, the worst thing I ever did to an order was pour illegal pour instead of being generous. The worst way I treated a customer was that once I refused to pick up the 2 dimes and a nickel he tried to tip me for his $14 drink, and when he said, "Hey, my man, this is for you," I replied with a terse, "Keep it, you clearly need that money more than I do." People don't duck with your food or drink, that's our job. We take pride in that. If you piss us off, we'll just refuse to serve you.